Welcome back. Let's continue with that story. The Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities in Parliament has expressed unhappiness in how the process of appointing a new board of the National Youth Development Agency was undertaken. And for more on this, we're now joined by Liezl van der Merwe, who is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. She joins us now via our telephone line. Liezl, thank you once again for your time this evening here on SABC News. Now, you have expressed your dissatisfaction in the manner in which this interim board has been selected.
Yes, Mbali, and sorry again about the issues with the Wi-Fi connection. So firstly, I want to say it is correct. The Portfolio Committee of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities is currently seized with the very important task of identifying young South Africans that could serve on the new National Youth Development Agency board. And we are obviously given this mandate in terms of the NYDA Act. And in fact, we've been busy with this process since August of this year. In August of this year, the Speaker had written to us to tell us that the term of the current board is coming to an end, and that we should expeditiously start recruiting new board members. We then subsequently, as a Portfolio Committee, placed an advertisement on social media in September. And the ad ran from the 20th of October to the 18th of November. Currently, we as a Portfolio Committee have received 1,390 CVs. And we were concerned with the fact that firstly, the NYDA was losing the services of its CEO, it was losing the services of its CFO, and the board's current term was coming to an end, and we needed to obviously move the speed in order to identify new members that could serve on the board. Where the unhappiness came is that there's a new Amendment Act, and that the Minister is empowered in terms of this new Amendment Act to implement or to appoint an interim board. And unfortunately, we were firstly not aware of the vacancies, but secondly, we were not brought into confidence that she was appointing interim board. And had we not called the urgent meeting of Friday, we would not have known about the interim board being put in place. But those are two separate processes. We are busy with appointing a new board, which will hopefully, obviously, be in place by next year. And the Minister, in order not to create a vacuum currently at the NYDA, has appointed an interim board to take us up until next year when we do, in fact, appoint a new NYDA board.
And Liezl, were you consulted by the Minister when she decided to take, this decision to appoint an interim board?
Well, firstly, Mbali, it's completely her prerogative because the Amendment Act says that the Minister is entitled to appoint an interim board. In fact, she must consult, or she must propose names from interim board, and then she must submit that to the President. And those are the steps that she had followed. However, there's a difference between extending the term of a board and implementing or appointing an interim board, and that is where the concern even from Parliamentary Legal Services arose, because the Amendment Act does not allow the Minister to simply extend the stay of the current board. There should be due process in terms of appointing an interim board. But, of course, that is a matter between herself and the Speaker, because she wrote to the Speaker, telling the Speaker that she has consulted the President about appointing a new interim board. And no, we were not consulted. We were just given the letter the day before our special meeting, which was on Friday.
Will you be challenging this decision by the Minister? Because you do say that it is her prerogative to do so.
No, we will not be challenging it. Our work now is to find the most passionate, the most patriotic, the most competent and qualified South Africans to take their seats on a new NYDA board. The Minister did what she did in terms of her prerogative, as I've explained, in terms of the Amendment Act, and she's well within her right to do so. And she's done that because she did not want to create a vacuum at the NYDA. You can imagine that once a board leaves, when the term of office comes to an end, the sole accounting officer at any public entity becomes the CEO. In this case, the CEO had also indicated that he wanted to leave. So she took those steps in terms of making sure that the organization remains stable. And we are, of course, in support of that, because we do need an NYDA, considering the youth unemployment crisis in South Africa, a stable, functioning NYDA. It was just around the issues of firstly not being consulted or not being informed timeously, because at the stage we were actually concerned. We were worried because the board was leaving, there would be that vacuum, and she had already made interim arrangements. So I think it was just, we were taken by surprise, really, in Bali.
And how important is it for you to be involved, whether it is an interim board or a board of the NYDA?
Well, Mbali, it is our responsibility as a portfolio committee to oversee the NYDA. So we need to ensure that the organization delivers on its mandate. And, you know, considering all of the challenges in South Africa, we really need to take an active role as a portfolio committee to ensure that with the money that it's allocated, that it serves all South Africans. And in fact, in our last meeting as a portfolio committee, one of the issues that always comes up in our committee meetings is about, for example, the visibility of the NYDA. We feel that much more can be done to ensure that the NYDA reaches rural communities, for example. And really, so in this work that we are doing now to identify new people to serve on the NYDA board, that will really be our focus, to ensure that we take the NYDA and make sure that it does even more than it's done before in terms of reaching young people and making sure that they deliver on the aspirations of young people.
And when can we finally expect, the permanent board to officially take its position? Because we now know that there's the interim board at the moment. So how soon can we see the appointment of a new board at the NYDA?
Okay, so the process now is, as I've indicated in the beginning, we published the ad, we've received the applications of 1,390 young South Africans that have come forward to say that they'll serve on the NYDA board. From here, the portfolio committee will meet either on Friday the 29th or on the 3rd of December, depending on the parliamentary program, where we will then shortlist 18 candidates. These 18 candidates, their details will then go onto the parliamentary website, and this is important because we need to obviously allow for a very transparent and open process. So once we publish the names onto the parliamentary website, South Africans can engage with those candidates that we have shortlisted. So people can come forward and say to us, well, we don't think this person is appropriate to serve on the board, or we think this person is the best candidate. From there, the portfolio committee will go into interviews in January, hopefully towards the end of January. From there, the portfolio committee will then make recommendations to the president. So it is important to understand that we undergo the recruitment process, we do the interviews, and then we make a recommendation to the president of the country. And President Ramaphosa will then, on our recommendation, appoint new members to the NYDA board. That report should serve before Parliament in February of next year. So one can expect a board after February of next year.
All right, Liezl, thank you so much for your time and for that clarification. That is Liezl van der Merwe. She is the committee chairperson for the Portfolio Committee in Parliament for Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, saying that hopefully there will be a new board being appointed by February next year.